Everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I got to tell you, this one's kind of near and dear to my heart because last year, when the kids were then, I would believe, 9 and 7, they're 10 and 8 now, they had an active shooter drill. Now, I talked about it then, and I kind of been railing against these drills for some time now for a lot of reasons. And one of the reasons is they are in no way proven to benefit the students whatsoever. And in my mind, they are absolute insanity in what they direct them to do. For instance, telling the kids to ball up in a corner and just wait for things to pass like a docile animal is not the way to actively try to protect yourself in the situation, in my humble opinion. And I was watching a recent Joe Rogan podcast with Bill Burr, and Bill Burr's like, aren't the kids that are going to shoot the schools up doing the drills with them? And he kind of jokes about it, but they could be sitting there taking notes. That's a great point. Obviously, if they know what's going on, how is this going to help? But the more disturbing aspect of this is how traumatizing and brainwashing it is on these children. For some time now, these drills have included fake blood, people looking like they have appendages, live and fake ammunitions. And now we've had a few different instances, including last month, where they're hitting students and teachers with pellet guns. I guess this was just teachers in this instance. This was weird because it was like execution style. So really, I saw this article earlier in the month. I hadn't covered it, and it's something I think we can do a read along with because Forbes nails it and nails it home on this. All right, and there's a lot of points to be made along the way. School shooters represent a minuscule fraction of the risk to America's school children. According to a 2018 Washington Post editorial, the statistical likelihood of any given public school student being killed by a gun in school on any given day since 1999, this was almost 20 years of data at the time, was roughly 1 in 614 million. So let me say this to you. That's literally one in more than 500 million. That's the chance. According to a recent article in The Atlantic, the Washington Post has identified fewer than 150 people, children and adults, who have been shot to death in America's schools since the 1999 shooting at Columbine High School. Not 150 people a year, but 150 in nearly 2 decades. Okay, and I get it. We have injuries and other incidents, but that is unbelievable. Nonetheless, 96% of American schools conduct lockdown drills meant to protect students from active shooters. These are required by state and local laws in most cases. This is a real issue, guys. The inordinate attention paid to a phenomenon that represents such a tiny proportion of the danger to school kids, a drop in the bucket, compared to the dangers they face from car accidents, for example, can only be justified if one assumes that the psychological impact of these shootings on students is disproportionately great. But what if these lockdown drills are actually what is creating most of the anxiety? And again, we get into the realness. And now what he's going to talk about is the fact that in a lot of these cases, the children are told it's not a drill. So right there, in a heightened sense, they have these drills. If I'm in them, I'm not a sheep. I might try to kill somebody. I might try to jump out a window. I might take a chair and throw it against the window. If I think someone's in there with a gun, that's what I would tell my kid to do. You're going to create a traumatic experience. One problem with these drills is that some of them are so needlessly over the top that they almost seem designed to traumatize students. Examples abound. Here is one example from the Atlantic article cited earlier. At 10:21 a.m. on December 6th, Lake Brantley High School in Florida initiated a code red lockdown. And by the way, there was a code red lockdown at Parkland that day. And you can still see my documentary film. It's a little mini doc, Parkland Code Red, over on BitChute. So go check that out if you want a deeper look into these drills and Parkland in particular. This is not a drill, a voice announced over the PA system. At the same moment, teachers received a text message warning of an active shooter on campus. Fearful students took shelter in classrooms. Many sobbed hysterically. Others vomited or fainted. And some sent farewell notes to parents. I'd sue. Give me a break. A later announcement prompted a stampede in the cafeteria as students fled the building and jumped over fences to escape. Damn right, I would have gotten out. Parents flooded 911 with frantic calls. Later, it was revealed to the fury of the parents, teachers, and students that, in fact, this was a drill. The most realistic in a series of drills that the students at Lake Brantley, like students across the country, have lately endured. When schools don't tell students that drills are just drills, it can be positively terrorizing to students. They're lucky someone wasn't killed. That's how I feel about it. One doesn't have to look far to find examples of goodbye texts hastily written by students to their parents during these drills. Most are simply too heartbreaking to quote in this post. Yeah, I wouldn't want to read those either. NBC News has reported that over the past 2 decades, the drills have ramped up in intensity, with some schools going so far to use fake blood and fire blanks at students. A drill last month. Can you imagine that? Someone with a real rifle shooting blanks at you? What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to be a sheep and lie there and die, according to these drills. A drill last month at an Indiana school, I showed you this, prompted outrage when teachers were shot execution style with pellet guns, leaving them injured. And now we're going to get into the money aspect, the profit aspect. Not just the fear aspect and the control aspect and the disturbing aspects of these drills that they're not proven to work, okay? There's no evidence that these are helping in any way, shape, or form. It is high time for parents to ask tough questions about who is designing these drills and what their expertise really is. The Columbine shootings created a massive demand for school security services, which is now a $3 billion a year industry. When there is a sudden massive new demand and lots of money flying around that is no longer available for teachers, counselors, nurses, etc., other programs, there is a lot of temptation for businesses to hold themselves out as experts. How much do parents really know about who is deciding to fire guns with blanks at their children and pellet guns at the teachers? I don't know. Profiteering psychopaths that would allow this? A system that is lost and hopeless? One that shifts the blame away from the psychotropic drugs that trigger these type of events post and pre-school shooting era? Remember Go Postal? Remember the story we did last week about Prozac sending $20 million in hush money to the estates and people affected by a mass shooting in 1989 at a print shop by a man who was only on that drug for a month? Remember that story? Huh, you think it has anything to do with that? Perhaps even more importantly, there is little to no evidence that even better designed drills do any good. According to James Allen Fox, the Littman Family Professor of Criminal Justice at Northeastern University, there is no evidence that an active shooter drill prepares people any better than in just instructing them verbally or in writing. There is much better uses for the resources that go into these unproven, traumatizing, active shooter drills. In terms of protecting school children from the very small risks of active shooters, the money would be better spent on hiring more counselors. And forget about the counselors. How about anything else? How about anything else? You know, they kind of wrap it up on, suicide and the fact that this has to go, but the author himself, I believe, is also a university professor. Is that correct? Yes, he's a professor and a publisher of constitutional educational issues. So again, I couldn't agree with this guy more on this issue, except that I am a little bit more sickened by it. Again, if you really want to know some of the things that are not discussed about Parkland and that school shooting, please go check out Parkland Code Red for free on BitChute, because I am a documentary filmmaker. You can see all of my full-length documentaries for free on this YouTube channel in the playlist documentaries, Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, 2 of my 9/11 pictures, Invisible Empire, New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. I give all of my work away for free. We do 3 to 7 videos on this channel, so make sure you're subscribed, thumbs up, sharing it across the board, becoming a member of the Burmese Brigade, and if you can, $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. That's how we're doing it through this GoFundMe. News you're probably not hearing anywhere else. Who's giving you that take on active shooting drills that should have never existed in the first place, that are traumatizing and brainwashing our kids, and they are not helping the situation? Instead, we're building another private security industrial complex that is being detrimental to us and those around us. I love you guys, and I will see you on the flip side.